Death, destruction, chaos. For many, these words describe the aftermath of the 2004 Asian tsunami, which devastated shorelines of countries bordering the Indian Ocean. The killer waves came from a tremendous undersea earthquake that occurred in the early morning hours of December 26, 100 miles off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. There was no warning of the dangerous wall of water headed towards shorelines as far as 1,000 miles away, and thousands were killed. The world was shocked as news unfolded of this tragic disaster, and then came their mighty response to relief efforts all over the affected region.
The day after the tsunami struck was a day of unimaginable grief and suffering. Mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, relatives, and friends had disappeared in astonishingly high numbers. Bodies that washed up or were scattered through tons of debris were put in makeshift morgues. Family members were then asked to identify if they knew a missing loved one. A worldwide humanitarian effort was sent into the most damaged areas to help survivors rebuild and recover their lives. People from over 40 different nations came to help countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and India. They came to give clean water, food, shelter, and supplies, to build new homes, and to rekindle the flames of hope for those who had lost so much. Many foreigners from all over the world felt compelled to help volunteer. Our guest today was one of those volunteers.
Hello, and welcome to today's edition of Person to Person. Today we will speak with a young man who traveled to his homeland to help with tsunami relief effort. We would like to introduce you to today's guest, Siddharth Nair. Hi, Sid.
Hi.
So, where did you go and how long were you there? And also, what did you first expect when seeing the destruction of the tsunami?
I went to southern India, in a state called Kerala. It's the southernmost state. And I was there for about 5 months. I'm not really sure what I was expecting when I got there. It was more, I saw I'd been there many times, so I saw the difference between southern India the way it was before when I went there, and then after the tsunami struck, the entire coastline was wrecked. The entire coastline used to be pretty much a forest of palm trees. It's not like that anymore. It's just gone.
Wow. What humanitarian effort group did you join and how did you learn about it?
I didn't really join a humanitarian group. It was an ashram, which is like a monastery. And oh god, it was like a monastery. So, yeah.
What were the tasks assigned to you when you were there, and how did you help out with the locals?
The task assigned to me was I was going on trucks filled with food, and for 3 meals a day, what we'd do is we'd go out and actually hand out food to each person that were set up at relief camps. I was on a peninsula. It was about 10 miles long, so we'd go down the entire 10 miles. There'd be camps set up every like 2-3 miles of emergency shelter, and we'd go from each, we'd stop the truck on the side of the road, and from each of these camps the people would come out and we'd give them their food, and we'd go off and go to the next camp, and we'd do that 3 times a day. Once at 7 in the morning, once at 11:30 in the afternoon, and once at 7 at night.
We actually used to load the food onto the trucks. This is actually.
So, what are some of the differences between American and Indian culture?
The first thing that you notice is the sense of time. Around here, we're very, very busy. We're always running to do something. We're always running late for something. We live somewhat harried lives, I guess. And over there, especially in the rural areas, it's very relaxed about time. You kind of do things when it's the proper time to do them. If you're hungry, you eat then. If you need money, that's when you go out and get as many fish as you can catch, because the infrastructure there is fishing. And that's how it works.
Did you meet any locals there, and what did they think about you coming to help them out?
I met quite a few locals. Most of the people I worked with were locals because we had to be able to speak the native language, which is Malayalam. What did they think of me? Well, some people really liked me, as they felt like he's an American kid coming back to India, helping us out. And some people kind of felt that I was just a rich kid who had nothing better to do with my life and was just doing that, There's kind of, especially in the poorer parts of India, there's a bit of a resentment towards the people who managed to get out of the country and make it, or even managed to stay in the country and make it. So that kind of got transferred to me by some people.
I see. Do any stories come to mind about locals who were directly affected by the destruction?
Yes, there's quite a few. I mean, right outside the ashram there was the house of one of the guys I used to work with, which was absolutely destroyed. His grandfather was bedridden because his leg was broken in 4 places, and the family didn't have money to get him to a hospital and pay for his medical bills. So they were kind of relying off the generosity of the ashram, which also gives out money, that kind of thing, to the poor people. And also there was a house right outside the ashram too, where it was one of the stores where people would go buy coffee and that kind of thing. And it was just it used to be a house, I should say. Now it's more of just 4 supports with a thatch roof, So.
Wow. Did you meet any foreigners also helping with the relief effort?
Yes, I did. There were 2 people who actually worked with me. One of them was Tobias, one of them was Chris. Both of them are Englishmen. Women didn't really help out with this because there's kind of a stigma in that area where women are kind of supposed to stay inside the house, and it's pretty sad, but that's how it works. So those 2 used to help us a lot. And it was an interesting experience to me, because you'd meet people from England, you'd meet people from Germany, all over Europe, and they were the kind of people I never actually expected to meet living in India. So.
At the end of your trip, what did you feel that you and your fellow volunteers accomplished?
I felt that we'd all done our part to help out a little bit. So.
Okay, what have you learned from the whole thing, and what would you say to people who would like to help with future relief efforts and help around the world?
Well, I've learned that it's a really uplifting thing to be doing. I've learned that it's a really good way to get out of our normal, everyday, hectic lives. And to anybody else who'd ever want to do that, I'd suggest go for it. It's a great thing to be doing.
Wow. Today we got to meet someone who has experienced an incredible amount in his life. He journeyed halfway across the world and devoted himself to the desperation of the tsunami victims. As a former humanitarian, he hopes to apply what he has learned to others, and he's always standing by for another chance to lend a helping hand. We would like to thank Siddharth for joining us today. Thank you, Sid.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's edition of Person to Person. Join us again next time for another fascinating guest on NCC's Person to Person. Thank you and have a great day.